So, this is going to be a mini session of Wilfred Dion because apparently something big happened last session. I mean, personally, I don't see it as that much big of a deal, but he wants to sort a few things out.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Now, what would be those few things be? Because I think we could start off exactly where we left off before. Wilfred carrying his daughter out, out of
Yeah,
the hall.
that will do. Wilfred is just gonna tell Kira to go play with her sister Emily for a little bit because he has to talk with Frey in private first.
Okay. She gives a small nod in acknowledgement, like, yeah, I think that's for best, and they're gonna go off and play over here, or you're here.
Shh! Don't disturb.
I wish there was a way to like flip pictures. Oh wait, yay!
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. Okay.
Wilfred's just while they're talking, he's gonna start taking Frey towards one of the entertainment rooms.
Ah, you lounge then.
Yeah, something like that.
Well,
He's basically going
lounge.
to one of the rooms that has a piano.
Okay. We'll go. She follows you, of course. Like, she understands. Like, if you trust Kira, then she trusts Kira to look after Emily. Though Kura is following them as well. The fox.
Okay, yeah.
Kuru.
So, didn't eat my brownies, huh? I put a lot of effort into them, you know.
Well, at one point I was just thinking I was getting fat. Turns out, after I stopped eating them, something happened.
You got fat. I'd
He's
say
right.
about, I'd say about 40 pounds.
You see her flex her hand a little. Like you can hear visibly straining against the cloth, as if she knows this is a hard time for you, and she doesn't want to beat you senseless for that stupid comment.
Wilfred scratches his head, not really sure how to address the situation since both a lot of things happened to him and apparently both a lot of things happened to Frey here. So he's pretty lost about where to begin, and he wasn't exactly given much time to think about it, so yeah.
Free actually makes the first move and reaches out to like pat you on the head. Her hand soft, as you remember. Her touch is calming and soothing, like she used to do when you were a kid, after you blew up your father's lab for the first time and cried, never knowing that failure was all part of alchemy at that time.
No, I didn't cry. Men don't cry.
You cried. It was very cute.
Shut up, there was something in my eye.
There was explosion in my eye.
Yes, that's my story and I'm sticking to it.
But yeah, she just smiles and nods. It's like she's trying to have your mind come back without using words.
I think the first thing I want to know is about her health. Do you keep any records? Have you had her checked out regularly? How is Emily's health?
Frey nods. She goes, "We have ever since the headmaster of the school was established. We had a proper doctor at last."
Does he keep a record?
Yes.
Okay, the first thing I want is the first chance I get, I want to see her records.
It's understandable. I can assure you she's perfectly healthy though.
I trust you. I just wanna make sure.
Of course. You always want to make sure personally, don't you?
Yeah. By the way, I couldn't help but he's tiptoeing around other subjects because he's still not sure how to continue. I couldn't help but notice that the city's gotten bigger, and there's a distinct lack of elves. Is that why all the leaders from the other countries have gathered here today?
I see, yes. Priscilla was meant to tell you today. But
Yeah, I
it's
assumed it's probably something bad.
it's what happened 2 years ago, during the war. But I should really leave her to explain it to you, and the rest.
Yeah. Eventually they make it to the room and Wilfred goes down and sits in front of the piano, and then he taps the seat next to him so Frey can take a seat as well.
Moving up to you, she tucks her robes under her legs and sits beside you, smiling as she missed sitting beside you all this time.
By the way, obviously she knows, but Wilfred can't play the piano. He never had time to learn hobbies like that. Instead, he starts mixing some kind of an extract as they talk. So, when did it happen? I mean, who was there? Were there complications? Did it hurt? I should have been
Everything.
holding your hand. Ah, Ivan Voy would probably crush it. Ah, but I needed to be there anyway. He starts to panic.
By the way, as you're panicking, she actually holds your hand at that point and squeezes tightly.
Ow.
Well, you're worrying too much. Don't
I'm
worry.
sorry, I just, in the last 3 years, I just vanished, and not only was the world like in peril, and now I find out that you were having your own, and you had to raise her alone.
I wasn't alone. I had Priscilla. Kane's been
It's
a
not the
fine
same.
uncle as well.
Yes, I would know best about that, but it's not the same. I know what it's like to have both your parents missing when you need them the most. That's something that I promised that I would never do.
You had no choice.
That's not how I see it.
She just sighs and points out your extract. What are you doing?
Oh, I'll show you in a sec, I'm almost done. Did you know that Azrael always calls it cheating. Don't tell him I said this, but he is right. Alchemy can be used to cheat.
Oh, how so?
Let me show you. He smiles lightly and then he drinks the extract. He takes a deep breath and suddenly he opens up the piano and starts playing a song. It's actually the song that Wilfred and Frey first heard when they kissed when they were young. It's not exactly the same, it's a little bit different, but it's very similar to it.
I suspect this was at one of the balls, or... Because when Priscilla was young, she had to attend many of those.
Mm-hmm.
Frey's smiling is like... Ah, so you do cheat. Don't worry,
Yeah.
I won't tell him.
Not gonna lie, this was one hell of a hard thing to do. First of all, I had to continuously use the extract to remember the song from my youth as clearly as possible. I had to learn notes from musicians in order to write the song down. Then I had one of the royal musicians in the other world play it for me, and I had to memorize all his motions. Even though I know how to play it and my fingers can play it, I gotta admit, cheating's cheating. My fingers are getting tired already.
Well, it's a very, very nice thing you did. Ah, I wish we could record this. She's just looking down to the piano, smiling. But you do hear something in the background.
Hmm?
Something pretty distinct. All you hear is giggling and running for some reason.
Wilfred shrugs and just focuses on the music because, yeah, he's not a musician. If he doesn't focus, he's gonna mess up.
They fly past the door and Frey blinks as Kira's skidding across the smooth
Wait,
floor with Emily on her back.
What are they doing?
You may not want to know. Focus on your song.
Okay. As for not being able to record it, don't worry. That's the best part about stuff like this. It stays in memory. It's more precious that way. Speaking of which, I haven't had a chance to get back to my shop yet. Have you taken Emily there before?
She's gone there.
So, did you guys find it?
she's like, find what?
Well, it's kind of mute to hide it at this point. Eventually, the song he's playing ends. I have a safe under the bed in my bedroom where I keep my most precious stuff with sentimental value and such. By chance, did you guys happen upon it and open it?
Well, I did search your bedroom, and I may have found it. Emily may have not.
By the way, inside the stash, there's a few old letters, a note, photo of his family and Frey and Priscilla. There's a mountain of porn magazines that were hidden from Frey there. And underneath all that, there's a small box with a wedding ring.
Ah. I see. Then Frey's answer would be still quite vague, as she is grinning like a fool.
Oh, you found it.
She nods. Oh, that's perfect.
Well...
So, when were you intending to use it?
I don't know. Eventually?
Eventually is not good enough.
You know, I like to think things through and plan them. You can't just, do stuff willy-nilly. You can't just, welcome me back and then throw a cute little girl at me and she likes alchemy and she's so adorable.
Wilfred, how old are we?
I thought you told me to never guess your age.
How old are you?
29.
Yes. So you were 26, correct, when you left?
Give or take.
Okay. Now how many years from there have we known each other?
Since we were what? I think the first time we met was when we were 5, but we started hanging out when we were 7.
Yes. And how many years have we been together?
Ever since?
Yes. So, do you think in almost 20 years you may have had enough time to think it over?
You know I'm an alchemist, right? You know the kind of life I live.
She gives a sharp jab to your right arm.
Ow.
And has a completely blank look on her face. As if that's not an excuse.
Frey, more than an alchemist, I'm a healer. People from all over the world are eventually gonna seek my help, because I intend to offer it to anyone who wishes to take part of it. I will have no free time. I will probably still have to travel a lot. That's not the kind of man that settles down and has a family, you know? That's why I've been so reluctant to,
I know.
And not to mention, aren't you pretty busy yourself?
Well, I am an archmage.
So yeah,
It comes with a lot of responsibilities.
I guess none of that matters now, though.
What do you mean?
Well, now that we have Emily and Kira, I'm gonna have to make some changes in my life, I guess. Like I said, I don't wanna be like my parents.
Oh yes, first marrying me is your priority. And then probably going out and with Emily at one point, show her some of your skills.
I've already got something planned. He takes out something from his backpack. It's the piece of weird metal that they got from the construct. I'm curious to gauge out how smart she is and how much she knows already, but maybe this can be our first project. He smiles as he takes a look at it and puts it back in his backpack.
Well, you are going to have plenty of time, but you also know that you are needed, right?
He scratches his head. Yeah, aren't I always? That's nothing new.
She nods. It wasn't just by your own choice that you left or go on dangerous journeys. We selfishly asked you of them. And we
No.
still need you now.
No, you never forced me to do anything. I just agreed. That's all. Let's leave it at that. I'm an alchemist. My job is to travel the world. I just did what I was supposed to. That's all.
And now there are more alchemists than ever before.
Yeah, which brings me to my next point. Like, what happened? I mean, I know we've talked about it a lot and whatnot, but how did you do all this? Like, the school, the people, the funding? How did all this happen?
The funding was easy. I mean, you did save a queen.
Huh? Oh, you mean Sarah?
She nods. You saved a queen, used your alchemy to travel to many kingdoms. Word spread far.
Speaking of Sarah, is she doing alright? How's her vision? Now that Priscilla has united all the human lands under her, what's that mean for Sarah's future?
Well, as far as I know, she sees okay, but her subjects still call her the Blind Queen.
What? He looks a little bit disheartened to hear that. I guess what I gave her wasn't good enough.
Well,
I'm gonna have to pay her another visit.
Okay. I'm sure that it's okay. I mean, I saw her only a year ago.
So she's back in her, well, it won't be her kingdom anymore, but in her land.
She's on her way here. All the human ambassadors are.
Good.
Well, apart from one.
Yeah, I guess we should leave that topic to Priscilla.
She nods.
So, he just scratches his head again. You're not gonna ask about Kira?
I wanted you to get things out of the way first. You seemed troubled.
Yeah, well, if we waited for that, we'd be standing here talking all day. Perhaps it's best to take it slowly, one thing at a time.
As if people would let you do that.
I can dream.
But, yes, I do have questions. For instance, who or what exactly is she?
I'm gonna answer you the same way I did last time. All humans are unique, and she is also unique. She is one of a kind, just like any other human, and she is my daughter.
Wilfred, I can tell just by looking at his skin.
Yes, I know. But I'm not changing my story. Though perhaps I should explain better. Well, I'm not sure where to begin with.
Don't worry,
Ah,
you can start at the beginning. We have time.
well, after I was teleported away, I ended up in some forest, somewhere in the middle of a battlefield. I found a wounded woman, so he shrugs his shoulders. You know how the story goes. I helped her out. Turns out she was some kind of hotshot. Yeah, though I learned about that a bit later. In the world that I went, well, to put it simply, it would be way too complicated to explain. You could say that there were two races, those considered human and those considered demons, with a lot of sub-races and such. And both sides were at war. And the woman I helped in the forest turned out to be the demon queen at the time. The humans had ambushed her in the forest in an attempt to kill her and end the war. But that kind of backfired with me there. Since she was so grateful, she took me to her kingdom and she wanted to make me don't laugh at this part. He looks he looks ready to facepalm. She made me one of her generals. I was a general of the Imperial Demon Army. Yeah, laugh it up. It gets worse. Did you have your fun yet?
She can't
Oh,
seem to
that's
stop
nice.
laughing, but she's looking at you, trying to keep it in.
So, as you can imagine, being the first human in the Demon Lands that's not a slave sparked a lot of conflict, and everybody wanted me to prove myself. So in order to solidify my position, I was forced to fight many of them. Luckily for me, alchemy apparently was not a thing in that world. They had very very advanced science, plus magic as well. But the bridge between them, alchemy, was missing. So everything I used was always catching them by surprise. Honestly, it was a pushover, not gonna lie. And that's when they started calling me the mad scientist. Even though I told them multiple times I'm an alchemist.
I'm gonna tell
Seriously.
Emily her father's a mad scientist.
Seriously, no respect. But yeah, anyway, after that I was given some degree of power and control, and I started manipulating the demon armies in a way that I would avoid direct confrontations with the human armies. He puffs his chest out very proudly. I was the worst general in demon history, with 0 wins and 284 retreats.
She's just staring at you. Maybe it was a good thing you left before the war.
Hey now. But yeah, as you can imagine, the Demon Queen didn't take that too kindly even though I saved her life. She turns out to be quite the masochist, so she would always punish me. Ugh, I'm so glad she's not here. Ugh.
If she was, I would rip her apart.
Eh?
What?
Yeah,
You didn't hear nothing.
anyway. After spending a few months there, I may or may not have stolen some things and betrayed her, so I dashed for the border and went into hiding so she couldn't find me. And yeah, I started roaming the battlefields, helping out both sides. Wasn't easy, but eventually my name began to spread as a healer. Believe it or not, I lucked out, and one of my customers turned out to be very important again, this time from the human lands. I met their princess, and actually helped her. She was suffering with a very terrible disease, but never mind that. After a few conversations, I revealed to her who I was, where I come from, and she seemed to believe me. So I made a bet with her that if I can make actually, never mind. Fuck, I'm confused. A sec. Yeah, there was a big battle on the horizon, and we made a bet that if I can stop the battle without any bloodshed, she would consider hearing me out and bring her to the table about signing a peace treaty and ending the war. During my time in that world, I discovered some new plants and I made some new discoveries. I used the very impressive neurologic gas that pretty much acts in a similar way to opium. I used it to gas up the entire battlefield, so both armies were neutralized without them ever managing to fight. At that point I had maybe 20 or 40 pupils with me. I started teaching in that world. Can you imagine that? Wilfred Dion the teacher. I sent my teachers, I sent my pupils to the human generals to convey that I have won the bet, and I myself went to the demon queen to fight her so she would surrender unconditionally as well. Oh, it was such a glorious fight. Wilfred starts making shit up. He makes a grand tale of how he faced her and how magnificent he was and dashing.
She's just staring at you and shaking her head, but she's smiling just at the grandiose spectacle. But you also feel a pair of eyes on you.
Wilfred looks down. Wilfred pokes her cheek. But yeah, after the human princess and the demon queen were willing to speak, I acted as a meditator and they signed a peace treaty ending the war. That took me about 1.5 or 2 years. As you can imagine, peace like that is very fragile. So I sent most of my pupils that I've trained to both the human and the demon lands to both perfect their arts of healing and make sure that peace is maintained. While in the meantime, I set up my new shop on that side so I can start researching a way to get back home. And I guess that's about the time that I met Kira.
Finally, the other daughter. That being said, she suddenly comes in. Sorry, I lost. There she is. And she picks up Emily and carries her off like a doll. Bye.
Bye. Wilfred smiles and waves as they're leaving before they continue so they don't hear the rest of the tale. When I met her, she was a war orphan, no more than 6 or 7 years old. She was suffering from a terminal illness that she got handed down from her mother. I promised to save her. So I did everything I could think of. I used alchemy, I used science, I used surgery, I used magic. I had no shortage of power, money, knowledge. I had both kingdoms, both sides, both demons and humans supporting me 100%. I had everything I need. I had everything at my disposal. And when all else failed, I even turned to a deity and prayed. I even made a deal with one of them. He unbuttons his shirt a little bit and shows her the tattoo on his back.
She takes a look.
He then buttons his shirt back up. Like I said, I tried everything I could think of. But there was no way to save her. Her illness was something I couldn't cure. So I had to just watch her as she was slowly dying and make her last moments a little bit easier. He laughs with a sad smile. I split two armies in half without a single arrow or a single sword being swung. Their silence was deafening. Both kingdoms recognized me. My name spread through the entire world as a mad scientist and as a man from a different world that came to bring peace. And all that power, all that knowledge, all that influence didn't do anything. It amounted to absolutely nothing. I couldn't even save one little girl. Power like that is worthless. You know, I think I'm starting to realize why the Iron Wolf left. Maybe that's what he felt when he was sitting on his throne. All I felt was absolute despair. How fucking worthless and pointless and senseless everything was. Having absolute power is the same as having no power in the end. If you can't use it to achieve your goals, it's worthless. In her final moments, Kira just smiled and thanked me. Even though she was so young, even though I couldn't fulfill my promise to her. All she ever wanted was to see the world, but she couldn't, because of her weak body. I couldn't do anything for her. Even though I couldn't save her, there was something else I could do, as you can see. Everything was already on the table, really. I had all the materials ready. I had all the knowledge ready. I was just lacking one very crucial thing. To continue with my research, I couldn't do it on myself because limitations. Plus there was a high chance I'd die. My only option was to experiment on someone else, and you know that goes against my principles as an alchemist. One must never experiment on others. So my construct research was stuck, and I thought that's how it's gonna be. Until Kira died. I couldn't accept that. So that's the result. I gave her a new body. Though I'm ashamed to admit, I failed. She doesn't remember anything. Her memories are gone. All she knows is that she is my daughter, and she wants to see the world just as much. So I'm gonna do that for her. I'm gonna grant her wish. I'm gonna make sure that she sees and travels the entire world. I'm not gonna lie, every time I look at her, it really hurts. I did something worse than a necromancer. The necromancer toys with the lives of the dead, but eventually they always return where they belong. What I did is something else. She is someone that should not be here, and yet here she is, she's alive. She's probably going to outlive all of us. One day, I don't know if others will be able to reproduce what I've done, but I'd like to believe that, considering how hard it was for me, nobody else will be able to do it. This knowledge I intend to take with me to my grave. Like I said, like all humans, she too is unique and one of a kind. There will never be, and there must never be, anyone like her ever again.
Freya has her eyes closed, having listened to your tale. A hand squeezing yours lightly. And she nods. Now I understand. I suppose I could forgive you this once.
Did Wilfred tries to switch the tone a little bit? Did Emily tell you what I taught her at the alchemy school when I first met her?
You know, when I met her before coming into that phone room, she looked so happy. But I didn't know why until she told me after.
I wonder what she thinks of me after being gone all her life.
Why do you think she's an alchemist? Well, a little bit alchemist, a little bit sorcerer. She can't help but have my blood in her.
So, am I right in thinking that it's because of your heritage that she has grown in such a irregular pace?
She nods. She's like, yes. While I was changed into this in my teenage years, she had it from birth. And, well, dragons mature much easier than humans.
I wonder how this will affect her life.
Well, to be honest, we worried for her mental state. But it seems like she had your brains from the very beginning.
He nods very profoundly. Yes, I can already tell that she is very smart, way more smart than me actually. I believe even given a few years, she's gonna know more about alchemy than me.
That's probably also due to my changes. Being able to react faster, move faster, think faster. But I've never been one for studying.
Seriously, she's been into alchemy for a year and she can already make out the sounds of the explosions, the materials used, and what they are used for. That took me ages to learn. That's the kind of practical knowledge and skills that you get after countless trials and errors. The fact that she has it in 1 year is astounding. I wouldn't be surprised if she's a genius.
Oh, she is. There's no doubt about that. Still, I am kind of disappointed she didn't choose to focus on magic.
Wilfred puffs out his chest. I guess she wants to be a hard worker like her old man.
Oh, hard worker? Are you saying I don't work? She says, squeezing your hand.
No,
This time you can actually feel her fingers digging into your flesh a little.
No, you just snap your fingers and things happen for you. Magic is lazy.
Oh, is that what you think? She squeezes even harder.
Ow. Ow.
Tell me again what you think of magic.
My stance on magic is he then leans over and kisses her. Suddenly.
Her hand squeezes tighter but for a moment until she relaxes into your embrace.
An
But you
opening! Wilfred jumps up and runs away.
You son of a... Get back here! She
Aha!
pushes the stool away from the piano and chases after you.
I'm a very good runner, especially when I'm being chased. You won't believe how many times I got chased in that world as well.
Yes, but your wife wasn't chasing you then.
You're not my wife yet.
You give me that goddamn ring!
I'll think about it.
As you two run off down the hall, both Kira and Emily are standing at the other side, staring at their two parents running off like children. Kira pets Emily's head and is just shaking, like in slight disappointment of the actions of her father.
Wilfred spots them and starts running towards them. He then grabs Emily and continues running with her and shouts behind him, Kira, we're running away! Let's go!
Wait, what? Right? Uh-oh. Although she was several feet behind you before she started, she's right alongside you by the point you look back, given her natural speed. Though Frey herself is also quite fast, thanks to her dragon blood. And so the family, reunited and formed, is running throughout the castle, enjoying their little play until the morrow comes and the party discovers their true purpose within this world. But Wilfred will never be alone on his journey, and he should always remember that. Goodbye.